And then it is believed that the beginning of the next stage, this is the Barzakh stage, right? We've got these 5 stages. The next stage begins. In the Barzakh, there are angels that come. 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir. These angels are very frightening. They're very powerful. They have voices like thunder. And they ask a person, who is your Lord? What is your deen, your religion, your way? And who is your prophet? The Prophet Muhammad said the only thing a man takes or a woman takes into their grave will be their actions. According to the tradition, because now you're moving into the realm of meaning. You're no longer in the realm of sensory. Although the realm of sensory is a symbolic realm, according to the Quran. These are signs. In the next world, the signs, right, it's not sensoria that you're in. You are in meaning. So all of the things that you did in this life are translated into meanings in the next life. So there are these foul creatures that people will find in their grave that smell and they have a strong stench and the soul is distressed by it. And the soul says, leave me alone. Who are you? And they say, don't you know us? We're your actions. And this is people who did evil things in their lives. And then there's others where it's very pleasant and there's a perfume that diffuses and the soul finds itself in this. And he asks, who are you? And they say, we're your good actions. So these angels ask, and this begins the testing phase. And according to the Quran, it says, we will make firm those who believed and did good works in this life and in the next with the true word, which is La ilaha illallah. We will make them firm so they won't have these tribulations. And the Prophet ﷺ said that according to a person's experience in the grave, that will determine whether what comes after it is easy or difficult. So it's the first stage of the next journey. At this point, the grave either becomes a very wide and expansive, or it becomes dark and constricted, based on what people did in this life. And there's a verse, there's a hadith also that indicates every human being will have an initial constriction. The grave will literally constrict them to where they think they're going to burst, their soul. And then it will become either easy or difficult. And there's a prophetic tradition of Jesus, the son of Mary, who they were looking at a man who was being buried. And all the companions said, it's so constricted and narrow. And Jesus says to them, you don't remember the wombs of your mothers that expanded for you. In other words, that the tomb can also expand for you if the soul grew in this life. Whereas if it was stunted, it won't. So this is the soul work that's done in this dunya realm that's going to determine whether you're constricted or expanded in this next stage here. In this stage. Now everybody who has died before us is in this realm with the exception of the martyrs. The martyrs do not go into this realm. They go directly to the divine presence. They don't go through this stage. So they are the exception. And Islam does not restrict martyrdom to those who die witnessing their belief, which is the traditional meaning, including in Greek. A martyr was anybody who died witnessing their belief. A person who dies in a fire is considered a martyr. A person who dies of a sudden disease like cholera. A person dies in a plague. That's a martyr death. A person whose roof falls on them, like in an earthquake. And modern scholars have said that includes, by analogy, airplane crashes and car accidents. That these are martyr deaths. As recompense for the trauma of that experience and not having been able to deal with your difficult, it's people who know they're going to die. It really helps them to resolve a lot of things. Whereas if you die suddenly, there's a lot of untaken care of business, and so this is a recompense for that. Drowning is a martyred death. Those who drown. So these are all deaths of martyrs.
So, in other words, if you've been a real rascal all your life, but you die in a car wreck because you were DWI or something.
That could, you mean drunk?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's based on acceptance. Yeah, like, it just depends on what state you were in. Because people who can die, you know, that's the assumption of the community is it's a martyr's death. But that is not an absolute, including people who die on the battlefield. We assume that they're martyrs, but there's a hadith that said one of the first people to go to the hellfire is a soldier who fought to be called brave. And he tells God, no, I fought for your sake. And God says, you lied. You fought to be called a brave person, and you got your reward. They said you were brave. And the same with a scholar who learns that God says, why did you study? He said, I studied for your sake to teach your religion. And he said,